Ring, 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 hero, simps, and virgins.
What about respectfulness?
No. And welcome back to Krown's magical, sexy, and seductive.
Landed.
Magical. Infinite money king.
What the fuck was that? You're slacking. Elsa's too sleepy. And now, ow, just hit me in the face. Anyways, whoa! Welcome back to the Krown Crypto channel. It's a lovely Monday morning over here from Helsinki, Finland. Nice and, well, not snowy, I will say. And I want to say hello to everyone in here right now. We got 653 people watching, 158 likes on the video. We're downtrending, but we're downtrending with price action, so it's to be expected. Anyways, what's up, Mr. David Snary? We'll get to that a little bit later. I want to get through the early morning rituals here first. I see Rocky G, I see Nimbo, I see Hoax, I see Big Boy George, I see Jack, I see Honig. What's up, brother? Good to see you this lovely morning. And Lawyer Tom, this market is about to crash. Trust me, I am a lawyer. Nice. All right, I'll hold you to it, brother. Anyways, Daniel Levitt, good morning to you as well. This intro is about to give me a seizure. Apologies on that. We should probably have a bit of a what's it called? Warning. Yeah, those warning, those damn warning things. Matador, MC, Christina Marita, Chaos, Minnesota. Oh, clever, very, very clever. Brett Carlins, he says FTM buy. Is that financial advice or not? Anyways, Joe A. Smith Grind, Crypto Christie. Who else do we have? Dog Toshi? It's Doggy Toshi. Holy fuck, man. And good morning to Mr. Jack Assman. And Nikki Page. Hey, there she is. Welcome back. Welcome back. Carolina Zoo, Deadhead 22. It rhymes. And John Dude. Holy shit. The fucking trifecta right there. Forrest with the combo breaker. But it's all good, man. It's all good. And Memes team. Good morning to you as well, man. All right, let me... Sam Van Hoff says, first time I saw the whole intro. I admit that I usually skip this part. Fuck that. Was trippy. It's morning here, but feel like I've had the whole day behind me. Morning. Hey, man. All good, brother. All good indeed. Crypto Bolt 369. Man, there is a lot of people here right now just wishing you a nice and healthy and happy morning on this new week of new opportunities, of which I suspect, as the title does allude to, it might be a bit of a tough week, or at least it was a tough week last week for crypto influencers. And I suspect that we're gonna have more headway in our way today, or not necessarily today, but this week as well. Anyways, I'm gonna polish off this coffee over here. I have one announcement to be made because, well, we got some moose action going on right now. We got some moose action. Holy shit. Oh my god, wait, whoa. Hillary Butler says, I'm hungry for some lohiketo. I think I know enough Finnish to know that is probably something to do with salmon, but I don't actually know what it is. Or you meant longketo, which is long drink, which is fucking disgusting. Anyways, sorry about that. Anyways, let me just, I got one more sippy sip here. Are there mooses in Finland? I don't know if there's mooses in Finland, but there are moose NFTs, of which someone from the cave has actually made an Elsa-inspired NFT. That's a little lucky right there. Elsa is indeed... That's you. What the fuck? That has a lipstick and a dog, and it says Elsa on the necklace, for fuck's sake. And an NFT of me too. It's the moose yacht NFT club. You can check them out. They actually made I guess they made a couple of Oh, I have a simp thing right here. I didn't notice that before. Holy shit, you bastard. I'm not shilling this shit. What the hell? Anyways, for full disclosure, yes, they did send us they are going to send us these NFTs in exchange for calling them out. I will give you a link to their Discord. I believe they're launching today if you're interested in that sort of a thing. And there you go. You can check out their link in the chat box right there. Anyways, again, full disclosure, they did send us that in return for a bit of a show right there. But it is a cave member, so I can say that he's been around for a long time. And apparently, I forgot to mention that they're also giving out whitelist spots for members of the cave as well. So if you want to join that, you're more than welcome to. And with that in mind, I've done no vetting other than that for the project. I'm not qualified to vet a project, but I do suspect that it's probably okay. Anyways, who let the meese out? Show me the rhino. All right, it's all right. Okay, so let me think about where we are, how I want to posture this analysis. I want to follow up on the short-term time frame analysis from yesterday. Obviously, we did hit the target to the downside, 37,500. What that means for today, and then how that kind of bleeds into the higher-term time frames. But do I want to start off with Dixie today? We haven't actually looked at this in a while, but I do expect that we're actually looking for a pullback on this relatively soon. Maybe one more push to the upside. So it's going to be a difficult day today, simply because I hesitate to call more downside continuation after we hit those targets, just because, probably does bounce a little bit here first and foremost. But Bitcoin is kind of on one of those big precipices of a move, meaning that, or in this case, it would be to the downside if it's going to happen. but until we actually get the validation for it, it's not going to be very wise to be speaking about, these pretty nasty moves that I do think the market is setting up for. Problem is, when does it actually happen, and what are going to be the triggering validations for that? So you know what? I think that's how I'm going to posture the analysis. First, we'll go through the short-term timeframes. Then we'll talk about like a worst-case scenario, if you will. And I do want to see this over here. I didn't actually do my early morning study simply because I was taking my own dump bolas. Hey, what's up, Crypto Surfer 808? Aloha to you as well. All right, let me just leave it on CME. As always, I do trust CME signals over spot, especially on Monday and Tuesday. Let me just get this over here so I can reference that. And we're going to start. Yeah, we're going to start right here. Oh, I should also let you know, of course, the Krown trading application does have premium features now live. You can check it out in the Learn More tab over here. Basically gives you more access to all of the underlying market dynamics, which does also give you more faster data feeds, giving you an hourly feed, and of course gives you access to the Jewel Light as well. Anyways, okay, so let's get into it right here. Okay, how do I want to posture this on the monthly, or do I even want to mention this? No, we're actually not going to start off with that. In fact, we're not going to start off with that. I think that's just going to convolute the analysis for right now. We can maybe come back to that a little bit later as something to be aware of. Okay. Here we have Bitcoin to start off the new week. I want to first start off by reiterating the analysis from the past couple days over the weekend, of which we were first looking for a bounce off of the 38,500-ish region right here, with targets back up to the 0.5 Fibonacci retracement, which was just below 39,900. We basically hit that over the weekend, and then we said very likely a pullback from there into a continuation move to the downside, in this case all the way down to the blue box territory, which was the technical target of 37,500 to actually even as low as about 37,100. I still think that one could give another stab a little bit lower. But ultimately, the question right now is, are we likely to bounce on Monday or not, especially after getting absolutely fucking shreked over the past, over the past week. Anyways, what I would like to do right now is overlay some conditions for a little bit of a short-term bouncy bounce here. In this case, I'm going to go over to our stochastic momentum oscillators on the short-term timeframes, of which we do reference on CME and spot price action as well, but CME a little bit more of an interesting go right here. That 4-hour stochastic momentum will turn back onto the upside with any sort of a closure above 38,450. Currently, Bitcoin trading about $500 below that, which is a sneeze, of course, in Bitcoin terms, but I should be, again, does need to be validated above those regions. And then what I'd be looking for is, of course, our volatility indicators, of which spot price action, again, I don't trust on a Monday, but what I do look at is CME over here, and we can see that HVP representing volatility is actually rather high. So theoretically, we should be looking for contraction phase, and if we're looking for a contraction phase alongside upwards momentum, that's likely to be a corrective move. So corrective within the current context of this, of this trend would be, another likely lower high. So where would that likely come in around? Well, I'd be having the same ranges as what we had over the weekend, actually. Still looking at the 0.5 just below 39.9 as a major pivot, or I wouldn't say a major pivot, but a pivot for the short-term timeframes relevant to even an hourly closure. So an hourly closure above there, and yes, I would be looking for Bitcoin to put in a move somewhere around just above $41,000. So, a little bit more than $1,000 move in this case. And you probably noticed that over the past few days here, especially, these ranges have been getting smaller and smaller and smaller. And, we basically just been looking for like, about, a bit over $1,000 to $2,000 moves, the whole way through. But that's just all that the market's been giving us. So, at the end of the day, this is where I like to reiterate my stance that, the channels and very interesting content creators that are always calling for like a moon or a doom shot. Well, as you can see, while it probably does happen over a long enough period of time, it does require a shit ton of patience and not relevant for the day-to-day traders. Nor is it even, realistically, it doesn't happen all that often. So just kind of want to reiterate that stance simply because it's just unrealistic in my opinion. And it does seem like a lot of people are starting to catch on now that is not just irresponsible, but also just, maybe they do actually believe it. Who the hell knows? Anyways, I should get off that topic because it's not appropriate for me to speak about. I want to be speaking about actual price action, not about other bullshit. Anyways, let's go over and check out the 6-hour time frame, as we do see it will turn up as well above 39,600. So that would obviously be met if we did see the hourly close above that 39, that short-term pivot, which was 39,900 actually right here. So if that is met, we very likely do see another move up somewhere around about 41 to 41,500. In fact, I'll put a nice little blue box right here. But again, remember, this is all contingent upon validation above 39,900 on an hourly closure, nothing less in this case. In short term, we don't even have a validation of a bounce in progress until we do start to see these lower term time frame momentum also to start to turn around. And again, it would just be a corrective signal first and foremost, simply because we do see that volatility is very likely going to enter into a contraction phase. Other than that, the other lower term time frames I imagine are probably on the same tip. Yes, indeed, they are. 3-hour stochastic momentum will be turning up with any sort of a closure above 38,100, and hourly is going to be showing what? Is going to be showing this about the same thing, 37,715. You'll notice that all these lower term timeframes are coming in from the same area. They're all showing corrective signals, but they are all, you know, within striking distance of showing some upside momentum. So I do suspect that we're probably in for a bounce, you know, today, tomorrow, if you will, around the time that US markets open. And then the question is, does the bounce basically get above 39,900? If it does, I would extend targets quite a fair bit. Until then, what would be a target for this bounce? I don't really have a specific one. You know, at minimum 39,000 bucks, I'd suspect, but probably looking somewhere more between about 39,100 and 39,500. Again, this is only relevant for the short-term timeframes. But as we get into the higher-term timeframes now, the picture becomes a lot more devastating, if you will. And so I'm going to start it off with the daily right here. We're about to see the daily stochastic momentum cross the downside and also reject the bullish control zone with any sort of a daily closure today below 40,800, which is, well, you know, currently almost 3,000 bucks away from current price action. By the way, spot price action has certainly already done this and is showing 44,200 as the magical number in comparison to CME. Again, I do trust CME over spot price action, especially, you know, on Monday and Tuesdays. And then the other big piece of price action that we were looking over the last 24 hours was, of course, the 5-day closure, which happened last night. And the 5-day closure on spot price action in this case did officially cross to the downside and will be remaining with downside momentum as long as Bitcoin is below 39,600. So you can see a lot of things pivoted around that mid $39,000 region. So I would feel comfortable in saying that as long as Bitcoin's below there, you know, it is a little bit more wise to be looking for, well, continuation of our overall trend and, you know, being generally looking for those lower highs, even on the lower term time frame. So you could see that you could have a lower term time frame rally into what would just be another lower high and then higher term time frame continuation if that, you know, assuming that that does continue from here. Anyways, I want to now overlay some conditions for some hopium and some doomium. In this case, I want to reference the chart that we put out yesterday, I believe it was. Yeah, it's right here. This would be the hopium chart from yesterday, and it is still actually valid. Well, it's not that it's valid, it is not invalidated, and it still awaits actual full-on validation. But the hopium, as I see it right now, is still looking at Bitcoin as putting in a slew of higher lows. In fact, not a slew, but 2 higher lows right here, and the same highs right here at about 45,000 bucks. These higher lows are coming in along trend line, which would currently be coming in around just below $37,000. So we could very easily see a downside continuation somewhere, move somewhere down around there. But assuming, or as long as Bitcoin is not closing daily doldles below there, thus breaking that last higher low, I would be looking at this as, I suppose, still an idea that is a possibility and probably what the Boo laws are looking for right now. Again, the same validation conditions for upside continuation, major upside continuation, are the same shit as what we've been looking at since basically mid-January right here. That $45,000 level on a 4-hour closure, nothing fucking less, or a daily above $44,500 would do it for me, and that would imply a very big move based off of this as a reaccumulation formation on the lows to, you know, the mid $50,000 territories. In fact, $55,000 to $56,000. Of course, there's going to be stops along the way, you know, no shit. But ultimately, in the following weeks, I would be looking for a move like that to transpire, assuming that you did validate above, you know, above this region. Is it that relevant for price action right now? No, it's very far away from price action right now. But basically, what you would expect if this is going to have some sort of validity is you'd expect probably at least one more test like this to the downside, giving it at least one more higher low, and then Bitcoin, you know, trudges its way up, and then of course clears above this region, thus validating the move, and well, major targets to the upside. By the same token, if Bitcoin does come back down and of course take out the last higher low, in this case, where would that really start to be, you know, validated as far as major downside continuation? I would say below about 36,000 bucks, even on a medium-term time frame, would very likely do it for me. Then, well, I am looking for big bad moves down, very likely to the macro range lows. In this case, it's going to be, do I have a chart over here? No, where's my damn charts? Where's my damn charts? It's only hopium for right now. God damn it. Anyways, we can just do it right here. This is fair enough. And the macro range lows, of course, between about 29 and 30,000 bucks. And that's kind of where I'd be looking for, if that trigger were to be met. Until then, you can look at this price action right here as still potentially even setting in a higher low on the weekly, although it is, certainly in limbo right now. And again, it would be completely invalidated with any sort of a move back down below that last prior low. So until then, short-term timeframes are probably the most relevant, at least in my opinion, just because they're a little bit easier right now. And the easy trades, at least in my opinion, for the long term are above 45,000 bucks or below about 36 in this case. Below 36, I'm looking for a move in the following weeks down to the macro range lows. Above 45, I'm basically looking for a move somewhere around mid $55,000 to $56,000 and probably continuation from there. Now, I do want to bring this up as well on the worst case scenario, in my opinion. So I've been focusing on this chart for about 3 months now, and it's still, it's still there. It is a monthly after all, and these things take a long time to be resolved. But ultimately, the signals that I'm looking at, and this would be sort of my worst case scenario for now, would be the monthly MACD mediated by the PMAR and then the white 20 simple, of which I'll go over the signal yet again. And what is it right here? We see the monthly MACD cross into the downside 4 times in Bitcoin's history. One, the most current one, obviously happening in January to February, but the 3 prior times, do have a pretty well documented historical signal. This would be then mediated by the PMR, which has less iterations to be fair, but just the PMR getting below the moving average, that sort of solidifies that signal as okay. This is very likely going to have a catastrophic fall. And then the most relevant for sort of initiating that major downside move in like a timing aspect would be with the monthly closing specifically below the white 20 simple on this chart, which you can see right here in 2014, you can see right here in 2018, you can see right here in 2020. So the green vertical bars correlate to the MACD monthly cross to the downside. Then it's the white 20 simple that once it's closed below, well, downside does emerge from there. So I'll just briefly show you this one over here. You can see that from the 20 simple down to the 55,000, or sorry, down to the 55 EMA did happen, did start to get a lot more, what's it called? Aggressive on that move once that criteria was ticked off. Same thing over here in 2018, closes ever so slightly below it in October, and then the next couple months Bitcoin finds its lows. Same thing over here in 2020 off of the Rona dump. Anyways, in this case right now, we do obviously have the monthly MACD crossing the downside, and we do have the monthly PMR below the moving average. So those 2 ones are already in place, and the last one that I'm essentially waiting for, if this is going to happen, essentially validating the signal, would be the monthly closing below the white 20 simple right here, which is, by the way, at 38,500 or so. It's obviously a long month left to go, but I would imagine that if we did hit the downside validation conditions for even the daily below about $36,000, that very likely bleeds into a time frame very likely bleeds into a signal like this on a time frame like this. First, targeting the macro cycle lows, in the following week or two, whatever it might end up being. And then, well, historically speaking, Bitcoin has always found its lows around the 55 after that, which right now is just below $24,000. So again, I do think that worst case scenario, at least as of right now, I would only feel comfortable calling a move down there. And it probably doesn't happen overnight again as well. Probably going to take some time, most importantly. But understand that a lot of the people who are looking for moves to like 3,000, 10,000, 15,000, whatever the fuck it might be, I don't think that that's technically relevant right now. That's like the same shit as someone calling for $200,000 based off of very, very little on Bitcoin or whatever the fuck chart that you're looking at. Now, I do want to give a little bit of I'll just show this chart over here because I do think that it is relevant, but well, it's relevant. Anyways, this is Dixie. This is the dollar index. And I want to first address something that I think a lot of people get wrong on this, which is essentially they think like the Dixie has a directly inverse relationship with Bitcoin or all other assets. That's just simply not true. Dixie is the dollar's value relative to a basket of other fiat currencies. So it's not a direct relationship, although they typically do have some carryover. But anyways, with that in mind, we do see that Dixie is basically getting up to, where you would be expecting a bit of a pullback. Now, here's the very careful consideration to be having on a chart like this. This chart is fucking bullish long term, very fucking bullish long term, of which we've been very bullish on it, especially coming in from September of last year. You can see that it moves at a snail's pace, moves like fucking molasses over here, but ultimately, it does play rather technically. And while I would be expecting pullbacks from basically like the $99.5 to $100 region, that would imply that, short term, we probably get one more continuation drive here. Maybe we're kind of already around that region already. I mean, it did get up to 99.25. So, it's close enough, whatever it might be, probably one more run here. But ultimately, I would be looking for a pullback from that region on the next test. And then the one after that, that's the one that probably does have a high probability to break. And that's going to have major targets to the upside on a continuation drive towards, well, we'll talk about that when we get there, but probably somewhere around about a $1.07 to a $1.08 region long term. Until then, what does that essentially mean for Bitcoin? Well, on a pullback, theoretically, you probably would be looking for a bit of a rebound on Bitcoin. But because this one does show long-term bullishness right here, especially as long as you're above your low 90s, I would say that pullbacks are not the same thing as reversals, or a reminder that pullbacks are not the same thing as reversals. And the second that this one does close a monthly above 100.25, I'm looking for major continuation. In this technical formation in the format of an ascending triangle would have its own measured move, actually even higher than what I was suggesting before at about a $1.09.5 to a $1.10. So, that would be indicative of a few things going on in this world, which is actually a very interesting thing that you can look at because that you can understand, coinciding with the news, right? So the news cycle right now, if you're watching this video at a later date or whatever it might be, is, we got the Ukraine-Russia thing going on. I don't know too much about it. I read the propaganda on both sides. I don't claim to be an expert on the situation, and I'll just leave it at that. I don't want to get into a fucking discussion about this because I'm just not qualified to speak on it. However, when it comes to charts, this would suggest that, well, shit might very well be getting real. Anyways, we can also look at the euro dollar, for example, as well, which I think was also on like a major area tier 2. Yes, indeed it was. And you can see, this is long-term, obviously bearish. Do I have a longer-term chart on this one? I should have, maybe not on OANDA, maybe on this one right here. Yeah, here we go. You can see that long term, this very likely is bearish, but are we getting into a bounce area right here? Probably yes. So maybe short term, there's, I don't know, some peace talks or something, and then maybe all hell breaks loose after that. Who knows? But ultimately, I do want to present a more positive vibe with that because, might as well, hopefully it can help in some way. But I would say that the charts do suggest that, shit very likely does get real here. Just like Bitcoin, below $45,000, hard to be long-term bullish on it. Same thing for euro dollar at $1.25 if you happen to be interested in that. By the way, I'm actually quite happy about this because, well, I bought a house here in Finland. Hopefully Russia doesn't invade. And before they don't invade, hopefully that comes down a little bit lower so my dollar's worth a little bit more. Hey, that's a selfish endeavor. Apologies on that, man. Just having a bad joke, okay? All right. Anyways, I think that does it for Bitcoin, although we didn't really talk too much about Bitcoin there. I do want to bring up this chart again, the global open interest. Look, if Bitcoin does have a washout move to the downside, I want to be very specifically aware of when the global open interest is below 9 billion, somewhere between about 9 billion and 8 billion. You can set alerts for yourself on this data as well in the Krown trading application. It is actually free, and you can find a link in the description below. And the reason why I'd want to know if and when that does happen, not saying that it's gonna definitely happen, but if it did happen, is I look at that as a major reset down to prior historical levels and probably going to be at minimum big bounce area. If it does come with downside price action, probably gonna be a move towards about $30,000 on Bitcoin, before that next bounce, and then I want to come back to it after that. On top of that, we do see that funding rates are, still negative in comparison to yesterday. Not anything too, extreme here, so I wouldn't make any major calls off of that. I'm looking for, about 100 times this number is when that starts to become a lot more concerning. Same thing on the daily feed here as well. And if we go into the market data tab, I do think that it is worth calling out that the fear and greed index is still, within the extremely fearful zone, but ultimately, it's just been really interesting to me to see that sentiment has gotten this asset almost perfectly. Anytime that Bitcoin's gotten to neutral sentiment at around 50, those have been your lower highs for the last couple months here. And anytime that we've gotten, very, very low, those have been actually correlated quite well with the lows. But the problem is, when is it extreme? Well, I would say below 10. Below a 10 read would be extreme. So you can also set alerts for that on the Krown chain application if you so desire. But other than that, I'm not really making too much out of this data. It's all about price action to me today, so or typically. Anyways, I think I'll leave it right there. Hopefully that was helpful for Bitcoin, and there you go, sirs and zers. Anyways, there was one thing that I think I might have forgotten. Let me put on the Gaussian channel. Yeah, the Gaussian channel is still very interesting to me. Especially on the 5-day and the weekly. So the 5-day did we close below? I mean, it basically closed on it. I wouldn't call that a break or not. But basically what the 5-day does say is that, look, if you are going to be bullish on Bitcoin, we do expect over the next 5 to 10 days that Bitcoin does pop back up, specifically clearing above that $45,000 region or so. Initiating targets very likely the top side of this band right here, which is about $56,000, which was also a technical target. So I do still think that Bullahs have the, the hopium is still alive. Just be aware where that whole situation does get completely nullified, or at least in my opinion, nullified. Of course, have your own trading strategies and whatnot, set out before yourself. And did I miss anything over here on daily for Bitcoin? CME, not really giving me anything, a particular interest for right now. So yeah, I think I'll just leave it right there. Shorter term time frame is going to be at least in my opinion, the easier trade for right now. I'm basically looking for a short term bounce, and then we'll see how high it gets. If it gets above 39, what was it again? 39. Hey, God damn it. Where's my chart? There it is. Found it. About 39.6 to, let's just call it 39.7 or 39.8. Then I would be looking for, I'd be saying that Bullahs do have a bit of a chance here, and targets up to like 41 to 41.5 are probably going to be initiated, maybe even $42,000. Anyways, let me get into the comments right now. Let me put away my coffees and get my I'm looking at my controller right there. I had a very bad time in Elden Ring yesterday. I got bonked. I got fucking bonked, man. So we'll be back on bonking tonight, hopefully, but not the best bonk section yesterday. It was very embarrassing, in fact. Anyways. There we go. Got to get my bonkers ready. Okay, let's see. Mr. Paul Garrett is his first day says big swords only. That's right, man. Big bonking action. Whoa. Excuse me. Matic on the daily and 4-hour, por favor. Sure. Let's see where this one is. Oh, that's also something that I forgot to mention. Most of the alts, especially like we'll just look at them right now. So mostly alts look like this. And that also makes me a little bit less than enthusiastic for the Bullahs here. Okay, so Matic on the daily is actually very, very clean and clear here. Above 170, great. This would actually look okay, and you probably do have a major low end. Problem is that this one is putting in a distributed pattern right in front of our very faces, and as long as it's especially above 170, the probabilities remain to the downside. Now, short term, is it more likely to bounce here alongside Bitcoin? Probably yes. It could bounce up to even 150 and not do all that much. In fact, even on a 4-hour, I wouldn't even call anything different as long as this one's below 152. But yes, it is likely to bounce short term. And I would be looking at any sort of a daily closure basically below this trend line, which is essentially the low of the day at about 139.5 as downside continuation, very likely retesting your wick lows from 24th of February and, well, probably a bounce there and then come back to it after that one. I'm curious what the weekly looks like here too. I mean, the weekly kind of does look like it's finding its footing. So again, I'm very hesitant to just blindly call major downside continuation from where we are. I want to see this bounce first and then judge after that, basically. But that's going to be looking for, and probably what I'm going to say on most of the charts that we're going to see today. Short-term bouncy, and then better hope that it gets above those regions. Otherwise, likely going to be a difficult next few weeks. Anyways, Rashab says, hello, sir. What's up, man? Do you give any importance to the inverted hammer candle? What the fuck is a candle? That Bitcoin printed on the weekly would be bullish for being in a downtrend. Okay, so this is a really good question because I see this around a lot recently. First things first, let's define what a hammer is. A hammer is when you get something that actually looks like this dildo right here, but on the bottom of the actual move itself. That's actually not what we have right here. So this is, technically speaking, not an inverted hammer, just for what it's worth. Not that I'm a huge dildo formation trader to begin with. I don't think that they're the best. And that's if you're on like a very high term time frame. A monthly, actually they do work incredibly well for what is, at least in my opinion, it's worth a lot. Like these doji dildos over here, very, very good at getting reversals and continuation moves just by trading the highs and lows of them. I mean, they're actually rather phenomenal if you can have the patience to wait for those. Anyways, in this case, is this a hammer dildo right here? Or sorry, an inverted hammer dildo right here? No, it's actually not. Problem is though, is that I'm splitting hairs. It doesn't matter like what this is or not. What matters is the structure of price action. This in and of itself does not, at least in my opinion, signify a low. What would signify a low, a major low, probably even a macro low, is if Bitcoin gets back above those critical regions that we spoke about earlier. If you're on a weekly, however, I would say that you could probably judge that on a weekly closure above about $43,000. So with that in mind, it's like, I'm splitting hairs about something that, technically speaking is not true, but at the end of the day, the big focus, or at least what I would focus on, like, and what you're probably looking for, is the confirmation of this being a low, which again does fall into that criteria. So as always, I want to simplify these sorts of things simply because, because that's what actually fucking works in my experience. I mean, that's basically all it comes down to. Again, I'm open to criticism on that. I'm sure that some people trade against that. Fair enough, but I have not seen much success looking at things in that particular vein, just personally. Anyways, Truco Production says, "Hola, what's up, man?" Hola, mi amigo. I see three drives of bullish evidence on the hourly. Well, going down in the very low term timeframes here. I was wondering how you go about drawing targets for something like that. All right, so in this case, first off, let's confirm this. And yes, that is 100% true. Caretakers RSI making me lazy as fuck. Okay, so first and foremost, I like to target the 9 as like a short, as like an easy target, and then I like to target the 21 as a general target. So I'll probably take like half off right here and half off right there if I did take that move to begin with, which I didn't. I was sleeping during the bottom side of that move. So yeah, that's the way that I do it. That's not to say that it can't go more. It's just I find that those are the ones that have a high probability of getting hit. And for me, especially on the time frame like this, I just want to get in and out, not be holding shit for fucking forever. Usually not the best idea in my experience, but hey, that's just personal preferences. So if you're asking me how I trade that, that's how I do it. If you ask someone else, they probably do it a different way as well. You can also do it off like the most proximal horizontal. I don't like to really go too deep against current trend, especially on a time frame that's rather low, in this case an hourly. So just personal preferences there. David Snari says, "Good morning, sir. Hey man, hope you're well as well. Could you please do 4-hour and weekly on Anchor Protocol? What the fuck is this piece of shit?" Sorry, Anchor Protocol, never heard of it. ANC on Kucoin, and you're looking at a 4-hour and that's quite the spread of time frames. And actually, I should hold my tongue, man. I was expecting a shitcoin of a chart. It's not a shitcoin of a chart. In fact, it's certainly a better chart than Bitcoin right now. Anyways, if you're on a 4-hour, what I'd be looking for right here, I'd probably be looking for a bit of a bounce, probably back up towards 470 to 475 region, or sorry, 470 to 495 region. Not bad. If I'm on a weekly, I'm essentially bullish on this thing, especially as long as you're above about $3 on a weekly closing basis. If I'm on a daily, I do think that has this one already broken out? I mean, I do think that this one has broken out. I'm just looking for this one to pull back into a higher low. Don't want to see anything lower than $3 on a daily closing basis. Otherwise, that will kind of invalidate the pullback as a continuation move and validate it more as a reversal move. But for right now, working off extreme conditions on daily BBWP, probably going to work its way sideways and down after a short-term bounce. Just want to see a higher low again, somewhere above about $3 or so, and that would look quite good for the long term, probably targeting a continuation move back up towards your prior highs of May of last year, actually. So very interesting one, man. Thank you for bringing that one up, and apologies for judging it right off the bat there. What? I go to the bottom and do the yellow one. 1 USD on the 4-hour and daily, sure. All right, we got Harmony 1 over here, and let's see Elsa's sign in the background. It's been a very difficult week for her. Sir, it's all good. It's all good. Anyways, 1 USD on the 4-hour and daily. Okay, let me first go to the 4-hour. Yeah, I'm probably going to say the same thing as Bitcoin. I mean, short term, it's likely to bounce here. I would be bullish above about 17.8 cents, or basically 17.5 cents. I'd call this a major low with big targets up towards, a quarter or so over time. But it's just like Bitcoin. As long as you're, it's just easier to watch Bitcoin. Bitcoin above 45,000 bucks, you're probably going to see that move happen. Bitcoin below 45, well, just hoping until then. Daily, daily is actually the same thing here as well. Full hour is bouncy. Yeah, I probably do look for this one to bounce up, maybe even a little bit more towards 13.5 to 14 cents or so. But other than that, I don't really have any major analysis to be done on it. If you just, sorry, you asked for a 4 hour and daily. Yeah, daily, are we more likely to bounce here or not? I mean, did just get another drive of hidden bearish divergence, volatility expanding, daily jewel is down. Where would I call a downside continuation? Well, the problem is that I call a downside continuation, especially as long as you're creating lower highs below that 17.5 cent region. Question is, how high can we get up first before that would potentially happen? Would be, I don't know, probably somewhere around 14 cents. If you do get downside continuation, probably looking down around, I'm guessing this is late February lows. Yeah, late February lows, down around 10 cents or so. And then come back to it after that. Monthly is... monthly is on the last chance for love, but hey, you should be looking for a bouncer for what it's worth. Problem is, we got a nice bounce last month and haven't really picked much up from that since. Anyways, Nick Haslam is next, says TUS. What the fuck is this? TUSDT? This threshold? It's not been, dude, it's been around for 3 days. What the fuck? Okay, so this one I'm buying at still. No, like, look, man, there's no history on this. It's been around for not even a month, man. Not even a fucking month. It's been around for about less than 2 weeks. I can look at a 4 hour, but it barely even populates 55. I don't know what the hell this thing is, don't know what the hell this thing does, but you know, there will be bounces, but I suspect long-term relevant to a fucking 2 week chart, probably coming back down to 12 cents over a long enough time period. Question is, do we get bounces up to 15 cents first? I don't have a strong opinion on that. This is a very, 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 very new chart and a very unimpressive chart for what it's worth right now. Just probably as a short-term bounce, anywhere below 15 cents, just continuation of the downside to me, probably looking somewhere down around, you know, 12 to 10 over time. Let's see what else we have over here. I think I am at Mr. Crypto Forever 2019. Hi, Krown. Could you please look at T loss daily and weekly? Okay. Does it say crypto or? Yeah. Yes, I did. All right. T loss. Okay, it's on Phoenix. Can't be that bad. Let's see what we got here. Maybe we go to Kucoin though, or Kucoin. And what time frames are we looking at? Daily and weekly. Okay, higher term time frames in this case. Yeah, not great here. You don't need me to tell you that this is a downtrend, but what would validate this as a continuation move to, you know, probably 80 cents, 82 cents or so. I'd say that would be with the daily close below about 91.5 cents weekly. Weekly, I'm sure, has bearish divergence right there, but again, it's going to depend on what Bitcoin does. I'd give Bitcoin a chance to bounce here first. This one I would start to say is within the context of a medium-term reversal with any sort of a full hour closure, even above about $1.05. So that would start to you know, change things around for myself, and actually would be starting to look at this as probably a major low. But until then, you know, everything is a lower high in this case, and while probably is bouncy short term. Again, it's easy to watch Bitcoin. If Bitcoin gets back above basically mid 39s, then, you know, 39.5 or so, then you're probably going to see the rest of the market rally above those regions and put in some nice lows for now. But until then, I mean, you don't need me to tell you that this is a downtrend, and quite nasty one at that. Not getting much from the monthly. What about a bi-weekly? Same thing. Not really getting much from this 5-day. 5-day does actually look like it should bounce yet again, for what it's worth. But again, easy to watch Bitcoin. That one's very likely going to get the general direction right, and the ranges for Bitcoin, or the validations for continuation and reversal, are very, very clear on Bitcoin. Let's not all get our pennies in a bind. Says, hi, my P&L is 0. I have a little cash. I trade a little, mostly hold. Do you think it's a good idea to sell some now to have more cash ready to go? I think that if you have, okay, my P&L is 0. Okay, what I'd really strongly suggest, man, is that I wouldn't, like, I always have to say this, man. I know that this is annoying and boring and kind of a generic response, but do you have a plan? Like, do you have a plan of what to do? And if you do have a plan, have you backtested that plan? If you have backtested that plan, are you satisfied with the results of whatever plan that you are mulling over? If you have done those things, then perhaps, yes, it would be a good idea, just because that gives you actual, you know, leeway to make good decisions. But it sounds like you're just holding positions right now, and you're basically considering, should I sell some to basically buy lower? I mean, again, it comes down to, do you have a plan or not? And in your current plan, seen as you're holding, what constitutes like risk management? What constitutes an I need to get out sort of signal? If you don't have those overlaid for yourself, there's nothing that I can say that can help you, simply because I will never be able to know what's best for you, simply because I am not you. Only you know what's best for you. There's certainly no way that I can know what your strategy is based off of 2 sentences on YouTube comments. So what I'd say is that, if you can follow that and if you have a plan, then your plan will naturally tell you. But it sounds like, based off your question, I'm just guessing here, you probably don't have a plan. So what I'd say is you need to do that, man, because having no plan and just holding is not a plan. That's just, I mean, might as well go to Vegas in my opinion. But again, I'm not your dad. I'm not here to tell you what to do, but I can tell you my experience with not having a plan typically leads towards me going broke is what happens. Robert Johnson says, cheers, Krown. Stay safe in Finland. I'm hoping so, man. Can we take a look at Tesla on medium and higher term timeframes? Sure. Let's check it out over here. All right, Tesla on NAS, and not great. Hidden bearish divergence on the last daily closure was confirmed. I have to be bearish on this one, especially as long as you're below 950. But even as long as you're below that $900 high, that signal is validated. Weekly is interesting here, actually. To be honest, a lot of these things do look like they're in for bounces, short term at least. What about a monthly? Yeah, long term, I suspect that you will test at minimum mid 700s again. And short term, do you try a bounce to open up this week? Maybe yes. But as long as you are below $900, I do look for general continuation to the downside. It's only above $900 where I do consider a short-term reversal first, with targets up towards 950 to maybe even 1,000 actually. Above about 1,000 is where I'd start to say, hey, this is actually probably a macro low. But until then, short-term rallies, just likely lower highs. So, and very likely on the monthly, we do see, another test down to like 730-ish region, in the coming months. And to be fair, if I'm just going off of straight up signals here, we have 1, 2, 3 drives of bearish divergence on the monthly. That typically speaking is a major downside signal. So you're right over there. What are you doing? What the fuck are you doing? Elsa's concerning me. She's for the streets said, what does that mean? GNS weekly and longer term. Okay. GNS, not familiar with this one either. Is this a crypto? No, it's not. It's a, what exchange are you on? Are you on London or are you on New York Max? I'm gonna guess maybe this thing. I have no idea what you're going off of here. Weekly and longer term. Well, this one doesn't have a longer term, but whatever it is bullish. But I don't know what you're looking at, man. Could you please be more specific with the exchange you're looking at? Maybe it's this one right here. Well, if it's this one, absolutely fucking terrible. Absolutely fucking terrible. Probably gonna have another short-term bounce at about 29.75. But again, short-term bounce not the same thing as reversal. Long-term, like if you're very, very long-term, I do think you're going to bounce within this region. And I do think that bounce can come up all the way to even like 4,400-ish region. Long term, I do think that you've seen the highs for a very long time and probably work your way a little bit lower over a long enough period of time. Again, I just don't know what's relevant towards you. But short term, more bouncy. It probably bouncy short term would be confirmed with a weekly above about 35.25, and that actually would have major targets to the upside like 43, or sorry, not 20, but 43 to 45 region. Long term, however, I do expect that this one does have more downside, even if it does bounce from here. But you are on majorly critical extremes for monthly BBWP, so I suspect that you probably bounce first, over the next month or two, and then have your downside continuation, maybe around end of year or something. Assuming that this is even the chart that you're looking at to begin with. I don't know. He says, yeah, or she says, yeah, she's for the streets. Okay, so it is this one. Okay, gotcha then. See what a daily looks like. Daily, I mean, another drive of hidden bearish evidence right there. Actually, in fact, I wouldn't be calling any sort of a daily bounce until we do get back above 33.50. At that point, yeah, I would initiate major. I would be looking for a pretty big move to the upside after that, and call a bigger bounce first. Cool. Leia Rich says, "Good morning. How's Solana looking short term?" Okay, let's probably not great, but we can look at it. Good morning to you as well. Should we record this one? Yeah, might as well. All right. Here we have Solana. We haven't done a Solana video in a while. And what do we have here? Well, we do have a nice downtrend, a nice, very healthy downtrend, of which we can mark that off here with our slew of lower highs between 120 and, of course, 105. And, of course, our low side structure right here, which is coming in right around about 80. Let's just call it $80 because that's nice and round and even, or if you want to be super exact, let's just call it $81. Anyways, because this is a disputed pattern, I do have to be bearish on this one as long as, so this would be the invalidation condition, thus validating, probably some major upside, as long as this one's below 105 on a higher term time frame closure, like a daily in this case. As long as it's below there, I do look at this next likely bounce to probably fail. So as you did request on the 4-hour time frame, is this one more likely to bounce here than not on the short term time frames? I do think so. I think the general market is probably in for a short-term time frame bounce. If we go over to an hourly, could very easily test back up to 85, maybe even $87 if things really get crazy. But ultimately, if I'm on the daily here, I'd feel a lot more comfortable with calling downside continuation again with the invalidation below 105. So what does it likely look like over the following? I don't know. Might be weeks, might be days. I don't know. But probably something like this. Maybe another bounce into another lower high. If you see another lower high, especially below, especially below $100, then probably looking for something like that. Validation on major downside continuations below about $81. And at that point, you do have a technical target based off of this as a distributive formation. And that would be having a target basically down towards your prior major lows from August of last year, which is $69, in fact. So great number, actually. It's quite good analysis, just because of the meme numbers. Now, I should say that if you do take out that last lower high right here, again, $1.05, I would be calling this a major reversal, actually. Major reversal with targets, very likely up to $1.20 to $1.25, maybe even more than that over time towards $1.50 or so. But until then, most things in the market kind of look like this. It's going to be easier, as always, to watch what Bitcoin does. But if I just showed you this chart right here, well, it doesn't really give us too much, to be fair, but it's not great. It's not great. But I think I'll just kind of leave it at that. Again, as always, when it comes to altcoins, it's just easier to watch Bitcoin. So Bitcoin below $36,000, you can very likely look for that next major move to the downside. Bitcoin above about $44,500, and I'd be looking for that next move up probably to eventually like 150 to 160. Short term, if you do see Bitcoin back above about 39.5 or so on a 4-hour closing basis, then I'd be looking for a short term continuation to about $1.10 to $1.20, or sorry, no. Sorry, more like 95 to 100. Hopefully that was helpful. And there you go for Solana. Okay, cool. Let's see. What? Oh, Gongyo. Go Taco. AVAX 4-hour and daily. Gotcha, man. Did I say that properly? Probably not. AVAX, yeah, same thing as a lot of the other charts. Not as weak as some of the other charts, but I don't think that AVAX is immune from the general market movements here. Anyways, let me take a sip of this. We'll actually record this one as well. Here we have Avalanche symbol AVAX versus the dollar, and we'll do a general overview on this one as it does have the same ranges and resolutions actually as last week on the higher term time frame. So lower term time frames, though, I do believe are setting up for a bit of a move. So above about 90, what was it? Last week it was like 97.5. You could just make that 95.5 in this case on a weekly. I would be solidifying this as actually a macro low in this case. By the same token, to the downside, still looking at a base of about $58 to $60 in this case right here. And if we do go into a daily, as you did request, we could actually expedite those conditions as well. Any sort of a daily closure above that last rejective high, which is $91 or so, I would be looking for a short-term move up to that top side of the blue box, which is just below $100, and probably does bust on through. This would actually look quite good, as we would have 1, 2, 3 higher lows right here. Problem is that the bullish hopium does get completely invalidated if I almost said Bitcoin, but if AVAX does come back down and close below that last higher low, which is your $67.50 region, below there, I do look for a full-on retest down to $58 to $60. Very likely another short-term bounce there, and probably long-term continuation to the downside, actually. Long-term in the following weeks, probably looking at a move below $40. But again, I do put the emphasis on Bitcoin, especially during times like this, because its ranges are a little bit more obvious. But if we do go into indicators right here, and we'll go down to the short-term timeframes as well, I do suspect that it is actually getting ready for a bit of a short-term timeframe bounce. In fact, no, we do not have potential hidden bullish divergence in the making as of right now. But on the short-term timeframes, like a 4-hour, could very easily have a short-term move back up to about $75 to $76. Wouldn't do anything. Even on the short-term timeframes, below $82 is completely inconsequential. So that'd be the same thing as kind of Bitcoin below about 39.5. So if you do see Bitcoin back above that region, you probably see this one back above about that same region as well, and very likely puts in a move towards the low $90 regions. At that point, things are going to look a lot better for this as a reaccumulation formation. To be fair, though, this one does have one of the better structures compared to most things that we've seen today. So if Bitcoin does show some upside, then I would expect this one to be one of the bigger beneficiaries of that. And if we do go over here, I want to see what momentum is saying as well. I suspect that lower term time frames very likely looking for a bounce. We can see right here on the 4-hour, 72.25 would turn 4-hour stochastic momentum to the upside. 6-hour will turn up above 73, so within striking distance, and 3-hour would also be turning up above 73 as well. And I'm sure the hourly is probably already up, actually. Let's just double check, and it is above 70 and 80 cents. So I would be looking for short-term bounce first, kind of similar to Bitcoin, and then does it get above any one of the critical regions or not? So hopefully that was helpful, and there you go for AVAX, sir. Okay, Crypto Chrissy says, hey Krown, can you check out FTM again? It's been tanking on the daily and weekly. Yeah, I definitely got this one wrong last week, because I was probably saying that it was one of the better charts. And yeah, I'm definitely wrong on that one. Yeah, this one I just got straight up wrong. Anyways, yeah, it's been tanking. Okay, so you're looking at the daily and weekly. Yeah, let's do a video on this one. Here we have Phantom symbol FTM versus the dollar. I wanted to follow up on this one because this one did hit the validations for the downside continuation, even though I wasn't looking for it myself. So my opinion was certainly wrong on this one. However, the overall analysis, well, I mean, that did play out, to be fair. Anyways, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to set up major conditions for downside continuation and also reversal conditions here as well, and then talk about the higher term timeframes. And I guess we can reference the lower term timeframes here first. Just like Bitcoin on the short term timeframes, I do suspect that there's probably, another short term bounce in order here. 141 to 142, certainly not out of the question. Things get, a little bit better. About 150 is where I'd be looking towards. But ultimately, this one is, putting in a pretty nasty downtrend right here. And just like Bitcoin below $45,000, I do look at that as, only hopium for the BULAs. Same thing for Phantom below about $2 in this case, which it got rejected from last week. So that was kind of the major area to be aware of. And in this case, not great right there. Anyways, I would not, however, call major downside continuation without a bounce first on the short-term timeframes, unless you do see a daily below, basically your late February lows, which is about $1.25. At that point, this one very likely does come down incredibly hard. I'd be looking at the next major region around about 95 cents to $1 before the next sort of weekly bounce in order. In this case, speaking of the weekly, what do we have right here? We do have, or do we have, let me put this on a line chart just so I can see. No, we do not have a higher low right there, so that also does not help. I was gonna come up with some hopium, but that wasn't great right there. Let's maybe try it over here and see what we got going on. I imagine 4-hour and 6-hour probably showing upside momentum. Yeah, 4-hour does show a little bit of a short-term bounce, but you are more interested in the higher term timeframes, it does sound like. And yeah, we do see daily stochastic momentum nosediving, rejecting the bullish control zone as long as price action is below 190 on a daily closing basis. Weekly is also nosediving below 213, so quite far away as well. And monthly is also freshly down below about 269. What does this look like long term? To me, probably has a short term bounce. Any short-term bounce that basically fails to get back above those critical regions, or basically if Bitcoin fails to get back above even 39.5 or so, I do look at that as just the next lower high and a series of lower highs. On this one, I would only invalidate Well, I'd only validate a reversal with a move back above about $2. So that's kind of the big line in the sand for me right now. Short-term bouncy. If the short-term bounce, gets you back above there, then yeah, I'd actually look at this as probably a major macro low. You probably see Bitcoin back above about $45,000 if that were to happen as well. So, not great, especially if Bitcoin. Basically, I think what you're really asking is like what's like the worst case scenario if Bitcoin breaks down. Well, I'd be looking first at about 90 to 95 cents. Very likely a bounce there. Long term, if that area fails, kiss this market goodbye for a while. It's not going to be great. So I think I'll just leave it right there. Got to give the Bulas a chance in the short term. Again, easy to watch Bitcoin, but hopefully that was helpful. And there you go for Phantom Ma'am. Super Googly Lily says, can we have a look at HSI daily and weekly? Yeah. So this is Hang Seng Index. This is China. China's major Boris over here. Whoa! Whoopsies. Got some coffee burps coming up. All right, so we've been very bearish on this chart, and we've been very bearish on this chart for a long time, and I feel quite vindicated on this, and I do expect that it does have lower to go. So this one's actually having a technical breakdown. This one's actually having not just a technical breakdown, but like a long-term macro monthly breakdown. Holy shit. This is kind of a big deal, actually. There's going to be bounces along the way. I didn't ask about a monthly, but I feel like this one's relevant for this chart. I do think that this one will find a move down below $20,000 probably this year. Weekly, is it short-term bouncy and fills a gap? Maybe. I mean, if you're on a daily, we're probably going to bounce to open up this week. Looking at daily extremes on BBWP, usually going to at least have a try to the upside. Jesus Christ, man, these are big gaps down. Oh my God. I mean, maybe it gives another try somewhere around about 21.5, maybe. But long term, I think this one very, 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 very likely has downside continuation somewhere around 19.5, maybe even as low as 18.5 or so. Probably around end of year. This is like a real breakdown on the macro. In fact, it's never really had anything like this before, to be fair. I mean, you got a quarterly lower high, so not even a monthly lower high, but a quarterly lower high, and we're working on a lower low right here. I mean, yeah, I do think that this one comes somewhere around about 19,000, maybe around end of year or into next year, but yeah, not great right there, man. Not great. I mean, shit. Holy fuck. The quarterly jewel is about to get a downside signal. The DMI is already alongside of it, and quarterly volatility is turning up here. I mean, that's never happened in the history of this asset, and that is a full-on perfect signal from the jewel. If assuming that we get dark blue on the next open, which is going to be at the end of this month, so that. It's great. It's really, really good, man. That is fucking insane. Anyways, to address your question, I do think it probably tries to bounce to open up this week, but bounce again, not the same thing as reversal. I think best it does see upside is like 22. I think that's even hoping right there as well. I mean, this is Jesus Christ, man. It closed on a gap down Friday. Yeah, it did rally to end the day, but ugly. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily call that a rally. Yeah, that was pretty. That's weak as all hell. Lucid Lorax says, "Hey Helsinki, what's up, man? MOS, please. Nicey, weekly, monthly. Thank you for specifying the exchange as well. That's actually really, really helpful." Mosaic Company. All right, never heard of this one. It's good on the hourly, but you're looking at a weekly and a monthly. Good and good. All right, that was a daily. Sorry, but weekly good. Monthly, I do expect has more on this drive as well into the next maybe month or so. Probably somewhere around about $66. 65 to 66 bucks is where I'd be looking for, and probably a pullback from there. But very, very good right here. Hidden bullish evidence right at the edge of the bullish control zone. That is a great signal, and we do see volatility is expanding alongside that. I actually this one might have more over time, but I do look for upside continuation this week actually. Look at weekly BBWP to kind of get an idea of when the next pullback is. I want to see that one hit extremes and then get below the moving average. But for right now, very, very good. Only invalidations I'd have would be below about $44. Until then, I'm bullish, man, and looking for probably somewhere around 65. BK says, looking for an entry on MRI versus Ethereum on Uniswap on the 4-hour and daily. That's how can you look for an entry on timeframes like those, man? Again, there's no way that I can know what a good entry is for you, man. I don't know what your strategy is. I don't know if you're like scalping the 4 hour, and then if you are scalping the 4 hour, what the fuck are you looking at a daily? Would be my question to you. 4 hour does show hidden bullish evidence right here. This signal will be invalidated, however, below about 435, 44,000, something like that. Weekly's good, but that's not really helpful because it's a little bit too young of a chart. Daily was what you were looking at. Generally okay here too, but I don't have a strong opinion on this chart. It hasn't been around for long enough. I'd actually only be looking at short-term timeframes, and short-term timeframes I actually do think that this one does put in a move somewhere around 580. If you do see an hourly closure specifically above 600,000, I would extend those targets up to about maybe even 690,000, maybe even continuation on the daily. But other than that, I have no idea what a good entry is for you. I'd invalidate any bullishness below about 440,000 on even a 4 hour, with targets down to, I mean, probably the whole mark comes down to like this one would be like 250,000, but I actually like that one for a little bit of upside for what it's worth on the short term at least. Dota 2 Master says, no, Pizza. Good morning, sir. Can you check out XRP for it? Oh, you done did it now. Are you sure you want my opinion? Well, then again, there has been a few surprises today, so maybe I speak out of turn here, but you're looking at a 4 hour and a daily. Actually, I mean, honestly, it's holding up relatively well compared to most of this market, man. Look, if this one sees a weekly back above 81 cents, I'd actually be calling this a macro low and be looking for big moves up towards like $1.10, probably even $1.25 over time. Anyways, you're looking at a 4 hour and a daily. Daily, same resolution points basically. Daily above about 88 cents would do it for me. For calling a reversal. 4 hour does have a higher low in place. Again, want to see this one above about 80 cents to call a 4 hour reversal. Until then, I would call major downside continuation with a daily closure below 69 cents, targeting moves back down towards like upper 50s probably over time. But to be fair, this one actually is showing some signals of putting in a major low here potentially. Any sort of a higher term time frame above 87 to 88 cents is gonna make me quite bullish on this one. I'd actually blindly call a target up till about $1.25, $1.30 after that. It's actually not bad. I was expecting something much worse, and this is not it. Again, though, if Bitcoin does shit its bed and move to the downside, you know, do I trust this chart? Probably not. Probably not. But hey, to give it its due diligence, if those validations are met, I would actually be looking at this as a major low, funnily enough. So interesting right there. Wogboy, or sorry, no, I missed. Dota 2 Master says Hedron, HDRN. Okay, this is a new one. Hedron on Uniswap. Oh god, this is gonna be good. Been around for 2 months. No time frames given. Barely populates the daily. Been around for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 days. You win. You win for most bizarre chart today. Very strange. I don't have an opinion on this chart, man. I don't have an opinion on this chart. Above 170, what is this? 17,250. Good. Until then, it's all lower highs, and shitcoins will be shitcoins for the most part. I don't really have a real opinion on this chart, however. The only thing I'd say is a short term, you know, if I'm looking at short-term timeframes and hourly above about 17,300 or 17,250, and I look for a move back up towards basically 25,000 or so. But I don't trust charts out of this new, man. I don't have a real good faith opinion on this, to be honest with you. Wogboy7 says, hey, what's up, man? Can you please do some TA on Metis DAO? Okay. All right. See if we can pull it up. I believe this one sounds familiar. Another Uniswap, highly esteemed piece of technology. I need reentry as I bought and sold it at 110. Trying to get reentry. How the fuck am I gonna know what is a good reentry for you, man? I don't know your strategies. I don't know what time frames you're trading. You didn't even give a time frame. Sorry, man. I don't mean to give you too much shit. Oh, Jesus Christ. I should probably try typing it in properly. There we go. I guess Kucoin. This is not a chart. it's been around for 4 days versus dollar. Maybe OKX has more history. It does. Hey, there we go. That's better. Again, I have no idea what your strategies are. Absolutely no idea. You need, I sold it at 110. Why do you need reentry? I mean, what is your strategy? Do you have a strategy? Do you have a strategy? And why do you need to get back in? I mean, do you believe in this thing? Well, maybe you do. I don't know. Maybe you do. That's not for me to say. Look, I don't know what to tell you in the context of your question. I have no idea what to tell you. I can't give you a good faith opinion. I would say that I do actually think that this one probably has a low in. I would invalidate the low if you do see even a 4-hour closure below about $1.20. I'd say that your 110 entry is not just going to get tested, but probably move down below over a long enough period of time. But then again, I mean, maybe you. It sounds like you probably just want to hold for forever. That's not something that I do, and not something that I would. That's just not something that I do, so I can't speak towards that. By contrast, if I see this one back above 140, I look at this one as actually quite bullish for what it's worth. With probably move back up towards 150 to 160 after that, but I really don't have a strong opinion on this. If you had like a more specific question, I think that would be better for me. But if I had to call it right now short term, I actually think it probably retests around the downside of this, probably gives another bounce around there. Basically above 145, good. You know, you probably have a major low in right here. Below about 123, 124, bad, and probably see somewhere down around about $1.10 or $100, and probably another bounce there, and probably lower than that over time as well, if that were to happen. But yeah, man, I don't think I have anything helpful for you, unfortunately, man. I apologize. Jack Asman says, good morning. Hey, good morning to you, man. Hey, another avatar. Pax GBTC. Okay, what is this? Pax GBTC. Oh, this is Pax Gold. All right. Weekly on Binance. Gotcha. Okay. So is this like, this can't be gold, but I'm guessing it's backed by gold or something. Not bad here long term, but I don't think that this is the move that's going to do some bonking action to the upside in this case. This one actually probably is putting in a major low here, but would I be looking for it to come back down and try for maybe one more higher low before that? Probably yes. Let's go to a daily just to see. No, the daily is actually good for another try to the upside. You know, only short-term moves to the downside, probably back down around about 0.047 or so, maybe even as low as 0.045. But the daily is actually quite good here. I'd be validating this one for continuation up to the top side of your range, which will give it a chance to actually break out with any sort of a daily closure above about 0.054, basically the high of what you saw on 23rd of January right there. At that point, I'd be looking for a test up to your weekly range highs, that being 0.064 or so. Any sort of a closure above there on a weekly, and then I think that you got like a major low in, and probably work your way up towards not point one or so. Until then, I would only invalidate the short-term setup with a daily below about 0.045 or so, and then look for a greater retracement first, probably down around the mid threes or so. Interesting chart though, very interesting chart. Yeah, probably looking for one more test of the upside on the daily, to be honest with you. Let's see. Mylene Gomes says, "Hey, can you please look at AR USD on the 4-hour and weekly?" I'm just curious myself. Like, what's the purpose of looking at a 4-hour and a weekly? Just out of curiosity, I'm not saying that it's wrong. I'm just like wondering what your like preferences are. I guess like what are you looking for there? I know it's a sad downtrend, but wonder where and if the hopium will show up this year. Okay, so hopium is canceled as long as you're below about $39.50. Above $39.50, I'd say that you probably do have your macro low in, which is what it sounds like you're looking for. And it's generally up and to the right after that. But, personally speaking, this one is certainly relatively weak. It sounds like you already know that. If Bitcoin moves to the downside, you're probably going to see this one cough up the whole rally and go back down to the, mid-teens or so. Certainly not the strongest chart that we've seen today. Daily is bearish, especially as long as you're above about 35.25. So even short-term rallies up there, inconsequential. It's only above the weekly area that we spoke about earlier, which was, I think it was 41 or 42, where I'd say that things start to change around for the better and solidifies this as likely a macro low, actually. Hopefully that was helpful. AK Makar says, hey Krown, hope you and Elsa are well. Thanks, man. I hope you're well as well. PYR, 4 hour, and daily. Okay. This one always confuses me because I know that there is a, what's it called? There's a correct chart to be looking at. Is it on Binance or Kucoin? Maybe it's on Kucoin. The LARP lines not actually are working right there. This one not. Fake LARP lines. God damn it. This LARP line working, however. Don't know about that target though. So, okay. Okay, first off, let me just confirm that this is the right chart. So let me try maybe Binance, or no, Binance as well, and see if that one's different. No, they're the same. Okay, so this one's probably okay. Maybe CoinEx as well. Yeah, they're all 911. Okay, great. All right, so let's go back to this one then, because it has the most long-running history. You're looking at a 4 hour and a daily. Gotcha. Okay, 4 hour, like most things, I do think are kind of setting up for short-term bounces. Bounce targets could, be as much as $9.80 to $10 for this one. Doesn't really do anything for the short-term timeframes. I suspect that you're probably more interested in the daily in this case. Just like as long as Bitcoins blow about $44,000, hopium is just that, hopium. I'd say the same thing for about $12.50 on a daily closure for PYR. Above there, I do look for this one to test your major range highs, which is between about 16 and 17 and a quarter. Until then, this is just a slew of lower highs, and short-term rallies likely leads towards long-term continuations. In this case, I would validate a major continuation move to the downside with any sort of a daily closure, probably even a 4 hour closure below about 798. In that case, I'm looking for a retest of your January lows, and which is like 670, probably another bounce there, and probably lower over time as well if that were to happen. But short term, is it more likely to bounce here? I think most things in this market are kind of bouncing short term. So we'll just see if Bitcoin gets above any one of the critical regions short term, that being again about 39.6. I've been saying 39.5, anywhere basically around this last high right here. If you want to go buy the book, it'd be 39.9. Will do it for me, but that one's a little bit on the weaker side in my opinion. Blue Sky says, stay-at-home mom to beautiful children. Nice. Family needs more income. If I buy your courses and study 1 hour per day, how long would it take for me to be profitable? $2,000 a month. Should I do it? Probably not. No, I would not. Honestly, in good faith, I would not suggest it. No. If you're a stay-at-home mom, I'm guessing that you are quite busy. It sounds like 1 hour a day is in my opinion not enough. Trading is very, very difficult. You're unlikely to be profitable, and statistically speaking, you're unlikely to be profitable unless you really put your heart and soul into it, and that probably even takes like a year to 2 years as well. I would not suggest taking my program, to be honest with you, especially if you have it seems like you have a very specific number in mind, $2,000 a month. Hey, that's fair enough, and you should have stuff like that, but I don't want to. I don't think it's a good idea, to be honest with you. Because with trading, nothing's ever going to be steady. There's nothing that's ever going to be steady, and if you're coming from, if you're coming from nothing, it's not wise. And also, what I fear is that like a lot of people, they will trade while in the learning phase, and you can't really expect results if you do that. And I don't say that as you can't, it's just in general, because most people unfortunately do that. They trade live accounts while they're in the learning phase, and they end up just wrecking their equity before they even get enough experience to learn to begin with. So it's been one of the things that I've been trying to be more and more vocal about recently, or not recently, but in the past year or two, in the sense that, hey, look, when you're first starting out, whether you take my program or someone else's, or if you don't take any program at all, don't fucking trade real money. Don't trade real fucking money. You're most likely to just lose it, even if you have a little bit of success here and there. Yes, of course, luck does happen, obviously, but what you can do is you cannot take my program. You cannot take any program. What you can do is you can try to test out strategies. You can use, I think I have it on my YouTube channel, what I refer to as the trade checklist, and that, and if you fill that out and then back test your strategy, minimum 100 iterations, and you can show to yourself that you will be profitable, you don't need a fucking program, and you can, probably make it on your own. But again, I can't in good faith suggest my programs to you in your particular situation. It is not wise to be in a and I don't say this as a derogatory thing, but in a desperate mode for money when you're learning how to trade. It's you don't need that extra pressure. It's already hard enough. Mr. Jesus Canto Venegas, he's the last one of the day, it looks like. Looking at Hex, when can I buy some Hex on the low? You can always buy. You can always buy Hex whenever the fuck you want, man, but I don't think it's putting in any major lows anytime soon. I think that shitcoin charts will continue to be shitcoin charts, and I think that this one is still, I mean, it's actually gotten to almost single digits, as I said was likely. Not to toot my own horn here. Man, this is like one of the, I wish I traded this thing. This plays so fucking technically. Look, this thing is very likely coming down to 7 to 8 cents in the next few months. And then honestly, after that, I don't even think the lows would be in there. And I don't even know if the lows will ever be in something like this, to be honest with you. Like, you're probably going to see big bounces just below 10 cents. Probably going to see very big bounces around 10 cents, and everyone's going to be doing the same thing. It's like, oh no, the low's in, I missed it. Oh my God, we're going to the moon again. Look, man, this is a parabolic blow off top in an asset that, well, you can research the fundamentals yourself. I don't need to comment on that because I'm not one qualified to, and for the people who I do believe are qualified to, they express some concern with it. So yeah, I mean, you know, look, as long as this thing's below fucking minimum like a quarter, I don't think that there's any threat of putting in anything resembling a long-term macro low. I would not talk about anything resembling bullishness on something like this. As long as you're below 25 cents, short-term bounces are probably just that, short-term bounces. I'm looking for a continuation to the downside here over a long enough period of time. Same thing as I have been before, and I don't have any reason to not. Short-term rally, you know, if it wants to put in a short-term rally, it could come back up to 17, 18 cents, or sorry, more like 16 and a half to 17 and a half cents. But hey man, it's your money. It's your money, of course. So don't, you know, if you've done your research and you truly believe in this project, hey man, you know, take whatever I say with a grain of salt, but, or don't listen to anything that I say. But, you know, personally speaking, I do think that this one will move down and hold below 10 cents for a long time into end of year. And short term, does it rally? Maybe yes. I don't have a strong opinion on that. It's certainly on the relatively weak side compared to most things we've looked at today, actually. Okay, cool. You close the chats. Hex Cult will find you. I know they will find me, which is why I try to be careful. Hey, I sacrificed to the Pulse thing, but when Pulse? I was told it was going to be in like September. When Pulse now? It's like there's nothing that you could say to the Hex people that will stop them from believing in Hex once they start to drink the juice, anyways. Because I mean, just for like the Pulse thing, you know, the Pulse thing. Like I was told that thing was going to come out in like September or October. It's like half a year after that point now, and it's still not there. And for me, like, look, I sacrificed what I can afford to lose, knowing that, you know, it probably maybe nothing comes of it. And but I imagine that there's probably not a lot of people like that. And also, what's very interesting to me is that not only is when Pulse, but there's like a new project now, Pulse X or something. and so it's like, I would think that like the average person who's tuning into that would be like, hey, didn't you have this other project you were working on as well? Why are you starting this new one? It seems to me like maybe we should finish this, but hey man, I'm not a developer. So again, I'm not qualified to speak on these things. I'm just commenting as an innocent bystander who finds the cult-like mentality, not just with Hex, but with most cryptos. Bitcoin has it as well. Bitcoin certainly has it as well. They all do, basically. They all do. I will pin your message. It doesn't fucking matter though. No one's commenting anyways. But where was I going with that? Fuck, I forgot. Yeah, you know, all of them have cult-like followings. You know, every single one does. But it just seems like this one, you know, the people will really come after you if you just talk about their thing in anything less than like glowing reviews. So yeah. I mean, to be fair, Richard Hart hasn't like rug pulled anyone. I mean, he didn't like exit scam Hex, for example. You know, just this is what parabolic blow off tops typically do. We're all Hex for TA here. Yeah. I mean, you know, hey, you know, I always have to say though with Richard Hart, I actually do think he's a very interesting person. He's incredibly intelligent. But that's the problem. He's incredibly intelligent, and I can't tell, you know, what's legitimate and what's just like marketing. So for me, I try to stay away from it altogether. All right, cool. No, I think I'll just read maybe a few more comments, and then I need to eat, man. My throat is killing me. What does Nimbo want? I don't see anything from Nimbo. I don't see anything from Nimbo. FTM had a lot of FUD recently as major dev left. Interested to know if you trust charts in that scenario. Well, the charts should reflect that, right? Because the insiders already knew, so they've made their decisions based off that. And I would say that FTM did have one of the better charts as of like last week. I think it's starting to lose that wheat futures. All right, what is it? ZM? Sir, no, it's not ZM, but what is wheat futures? I forget the ticker. It's ZW. There we go, ZW, not ZM. Yeah, bullish as fuck, as you would guess. I feel like you already knew that, man. I don't have anything to say about this. Like, it's bullish as fuck. It's obviously due to the fundamental situation going on in the world with Ukraine and Russia, you know, the major producers of wheat and a lot of other things as well, like oil. Well, scarcity, supply and demand right in front of your very face. Wheat to the moon. Yeah, man. It's a good time to go keto, I guess. But then again, the meat prices in our grocery store, they went up like 20% overnight. Kind of crazy, man. Great $10 loaf of bread incoming. Well, no one should be eating that bullshit bread anyways, man. It's not good for you. But then again, everything's gonna get more expensive. So I'm just making a stupid, flippant joke there. Spicy Crypto will not stop spamming this fucking stupid ass Safu chart. I just want to see how bad it is, though. I just want to see. Okay, it's not even on TradingView, man. That's how bad it is. Look, it's not even on trade. Like, it's not even. It's SFUU. Yeah, it's not even on TradingView, man. So it's probably deep within the shitcoin drawer. Wait, we can get spankings here. The mods are very, yes, they can be very heavy-handed like that. Be careful, Christina Maria. Gas is $6, and holy shit, that's even more than it was in the early 2000s. That's amazing. Wow. I remember when people were complaining in the early 2000s when it was like $4 or $5 per gallon. Now it's $6. Holy shit. Like, the average person's not gonna be able to drive soon enough, I don't think. I mean, think about that. Facebook, any chance of Facebook filling the daily price gap? Let's see. I haven't looked at Facebook in a long time now. Weekly, pretty ugly there. You know, over a long enough period of time, yeah, it probably does fill that gap, but I'm guessing you're asking, does it fill that gap before moving significantly lower? No, I think best it does to the upside would be back around about 250, and that gap is all the way up at like 300. So I'd say like 250 is what I'd be looking for. Yeah, somewhere between about 230 to 250-ish region. That's a hell of a chart right there, man. That's a hell of a chart right there. There you go. Excuse me, my fingers are not fat. I didn't say your fingers are fat. I said you're heavy-handed.
No,
oh,
that
hour.
was not for you.
Oh, it wasn't for me. Average person won't be able to eat, drive, or do anything else. Time to rob the rich. Well, that's a problem, man. You don't want to be the one rich person in a world that is in severe financial turmoil. Yeah, man, this is not good. Like, where all this shit's going, I really don't like it. Really don't like it. What about the 2-day? The 2-day even, oh my god, how did I miss this? 1, 2, 3 drives of hidden bearish divergence off the highs on the 2-day chart. Man, if downside validations get hit, we're in for like a nasty week or two if that happens. Well, fingers crossed to Bula Jesus, I guess. You will own nothing and you'll be happy. I can't believe who in the marketing department thought that would be a good message for real. Like, I don't know, man. I feel like obviously someone has to vet that message, right? That, you know, they probably have like researchers and shit, right? But somehow that got through. Man, am I going to be wrong about a short-term bounce here? Not even going to hit my 38.5 region. To be fair, I mean, 39 still within. Maybe just one more grind to the downside here and then probably tries for a bit of a bounce. But you'd hope for even a short-term just pity bounce based off this right now. Yeah, pretty ugly. Pretty fucking ugly. They also produced the the kind share of steel and iron. Yes, most wheat and most fertilizer as well. So yeah, that's pretty much everything. Yeah, dystopian as fuck. Man, I don't want to think about it as the problem, but maybe should. I just don't know. It's too hard to like trust sources of information though, because what I find is that on the there's like such a staunch side on like the anti-WEF side that it's like I can't trust everything they say because they sound fucking ridiculous too. But there's certainly like good reasons to be skeptical of it, and probably a more balanced take in the middle there. But like I've been following this guy Conceptual James on Twitter, and honestly I don't think he has good takes on a lot of things after reading his takes recently. But you know, then again, he has like pretty accurate information from the past as well. I don't know, man. It's difficult to trust people because they get so fucking stuck in their one way view. It's something that I've been struggling with recently. I've just resolved to like not look at anything basically. Time to get a hunting license. Actually, that would be probably the best way of doing it, man. Probably the most healthy way too. Klaus Schwab, Putin, and the whole crew, are they together? There's like so many conspiracy theories that like they're together and this is all planned. I don't know if I can get on the same side as that, man. Do you take part in the Discord chat? Do I? I do in the member section, but I don't really have... Oh, that was for Nikki. Yeah. But I pretty much only comment if like someone summons me by tagging me, and then it's like... Hopefully they don't tag me too often as well, because, you know, sometimes I'm just away from the computer, man. One reset button. I want a do-over. I want a do-over. China economy doing pretty well. Guess we all need to become communists. Looking at the Hang Seng Index, I would have to disagree. It's actually in a worse position than U.S. markets for what it's worth. Let's actually look at SPY futures. I haven't done that today. SPY actually... kind of the same thing as Bitcoin. Short-term bouncy, hard chart to love as long as you're especially below about, 44.50 or so. I'd even say like 40, basically 4,500. Anyways, I think it's time for me to sign off, man. I need to go eat. That's exactly right, Ice Sniper. That's exactly right. Okay, cool. Yeah, it's been a pleasure speaking with you on this nice Monday morning. I'm going to go eat, go to the gym, and then it's time for some bonking action if you want to hang out on Twitch and do some gaming, but I expect that's probably not for most people, but I figure I'll just leave it out there. Anyways, I'm signing off now. Take care, as always. Wishing you well. Mr. Bear Nutrition, I salute you, sir. As always, good to see you, and with that said, see you hopefully soon.
Write it, code it, name it, tweet it, mine it, stack it, live it, dream it, post it, scan it, charge it, send it, do it, and receive it. Trade it, buy it, sell it, store it, run it, list it, first rename it. Crypto logic. Pump it, hack it, lose it, dump it, sell it, ditch it, fix or pitch it. Copy, paste it, nudge it, test it, build it, try it, bend it. Fork it, hype it, pump it, dump it, rinse, repeat, but quick relocate. Pause it, list